My instructions are to use this page to complete ZWF on iExcel. So when I get on iExcel, I need to make sure that I am working on the assignment ZWF. I already have it pulled up here, but if you don't, you just go to the search bar and you type in ZWF, and it is the skill that drops down for you, the highlighted skill. Alright, my actual question. Now these are multi-step questions. These are multi-step problems. Sorry, I'm going to put that back. My actual question is, what is the perimeter of the gray rectangle? So I'm looking for the perimeter of the gray rectangle, which is here. So I see I have two rectangles, and I'm asked about the perimeter of just one rectangle. So to find the perimeter of this gray rectangle, I will need to know the height and the width of this gray rectangle. So I see that from my diagram that I do not have the height of this gray rectangle. So let's see what other information I have. I see that there is a pink rectangle and a gray rectangle. I have both dimensions of the pink rectangle. Oh, and looky here. This text tells me the rectangles below have the same area. So the way I'm going to solve this is I'm going to work backwards. Okay. So I have space for step 1, step 2, and step 3. For each of these problems, I've already been given the space to show my work. The first step, the second step, and the third step. Now down here is where I'm going to answer the actual question. Miss Ali is going to pause, and I'm going to fill in this form. Now we did this in class. You guys know what these boxes are for. But I'm going to pause and put it here in the video. So, to work backwards, in my first step, I'm going to use the given information. I wrote a capital I, and I'm going to circle it because that stands for information. I'm going to use the given information. I'm going to find the information needed, and then I'm going to answer the actual question. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use the given information, find the information needed, and answer the actual question. So, I am asked, what is the perimeter of the gray rectangle? So, I'm going to go ahead and put perimeter, capital P. And because I have multiple rectangles, I'm going to put a G for gray. Perimeter of the gray rectangle is calculated by the height, adding up the height and width of every side. Height plus width. Okay, and I don't know the perimeter, that's what my question is about, but I do know the width. And in order to answer this question, I'm going to need that height. So let's look at the information I'm given. I'm told that the rectangles below have the same area. So they're giving some information about the area, and then they give me enough information about the pink rectangle. So area of the pink rectangle is going to be calculated by multiplying the height dimension by the width dimension. The height dimension is 3 centimeters. Yikes, which I can't see. 3 centimeters times 4 centimeters. That pink rectangle, the pink rectangle is 4 centimeters wide. So then the area of the pink rectangle is equal to 12 square centimeters. So this is where I used the information that I was given. I was told that the rectangles have the same area, and I was told the height and the width dimension of this pink rectangle. So now I'm going to look at the area of the gray rectangle. I'm going to make that connection because they told me that the rectangles have the same area. So the area of the gray rectangle, and I'm going to use a G for gray, still calculated by the height dimension multiplied by the width dimension. And since I know the area of this rectangle and I know the width of this gray rectangle, I'm going to say, okay, so that's yikes, 12 square centimeters is equal to the height dimension multiplied by, what is the width dimension? I look in my diagram and I see that the width dimension is 2 centimeters. So 12 equals what times 2? 12 is equal to 6 times 2. So 6 centimeters is equal to the height. So now I have the height that I need. This was the information needed. I cannot talk about, this should be a capital G. I cannot calculate the perimeter of a rectangle unless I know or am able to find the height and width of every side. So now I'm just going to plug in that information. I have found the height dimension, so that's going to be 6 centimeters plus 6 centimeters. And I was given the width dimension already just in the diagram. 2 centimeters plus 2 centimeters. You can add these however you like. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 plus 6 is 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. 16 centimeters. So what is the perimeter of the gray rectangle? It is, oh my goodness. Oh no. I have the correct answer on my paper, but I rushed to type it in, and so I don't need to cross this out. I don't need to get upset. I had the correct answer on my paper, so I just pick up my pencil, my colored pencil, my ink pen, and I label the type of error, and I move on. Okay, this was a big deal for some of you. I made a mistake. What do? Same thing you've been taught to do all year. You figure out what went wrong. This was just a typo. I had the correct answer on my paper. And so I already know what went wrong, because they tell me the correct answer is 16 centimeters. But I already told myself that the correct answer was 16 centimeters. I hit got it and I move on. So I'm going to try again, and this time I'm going to be careful not to typo at the end. It's not about being perfect. Remember, it does not have to be perfect to be good. Okay? We improve on purpose. I'm going to keep reading carefully, and I'm going to keep thinking about what I'm told. I'm going to keep writing and saying the formula that I need. And I'm going to write each number where it goes according to the formula. Remember, this is a 3-step process. First, I'm going to use the given information. And then I'm going to find the information that I need. And then I'm going to answer the actual question. I'm going to go ahead and list each formula where it goes. And I'm going to abbreviate which shape I'm talking about by including the initial of that shape's color. So the rectangles below have the same area. And so I'm going to be starting with area. But my question is, what is the perimeter of the green rectangle? So my actual question, perimeter of the green rectangle is calculated by adding up the height and width of every side. I do not know the perimeter. That's what the question is about. I do not know the height. That information is missing in my diagram. So this is the information that I need. So I'm going to use the given information. The rectangles below have the same area. So I'm going to start with that purple rectangle, area of the purple, and I'm going to put a P for purple. Is calculated by multiplying the height dimension by the width dimension. That purple rectangle is 4 meters high, and that purple rectangle is 6 meters wide. 4 times 6 I know is 24, so that's 24 square meters. So I've used the information I was given. Now I'm going to find the information that I need. the area of the purple rectangle is calculated by the height dimension multiplied by the width dimension. And I know the area is 24 square meters because they told me that the rectangles have the same area. They told me that they have the same area. So the purple rectangle has a 24 square meter area. So does the green rectangle. I do not know the height, so I'm just going to still write h there. The height dimension multiplied by 3 meters. So this tells me 24 is equal to what times 3? So 3 times what equals 24? 3 times 8. So 8 meters is equal to the height dimension of that purple rectangle. So now I can come and find the perimeter of the green rectangle. I know the height. I found out that the height is 8 meters. So plus 8 meters. I'm going to copy 8 in where it goes underneath the height. And I know that the width is 3 meters. And you can add, if you need to do a side calculation, do a side calculation. You can add that however you like. If you do it correctly, you should get 22 meters. 8 plus 3 is 11, so 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 plus 11 is 22. Okay, so if you're not sure where I got that from. And so last time I had a typo, so this time I'm going to be very careful. 22, 2, 2. I'm going to digit spell it 2, 2. And I'm going to go to the computer and I'm going to type 2, 2. And I'm going to take my hand away and I'm going to check and make sure that it says 22. Excellent, I got it. Okay, next, a little out of focus there. And so that is our process. We're going to solve these problems in 1, 2. Yikes, I'm out of time. We're going to solve these problems in 1, 2, 3 steps. The last thing, we cannot answer the actual question first. We have to answer the actual question last. And remember, I just used the capital letter Q and I circle it to remind myself that, hey, this is answer the actual question. Here, but before I can answer the actual question, I'm going to need some information. So step 2 is I find the information, capital I, and circle it, that I need, or to find the information that is needed. But the first thing I'm going to do, once I understand the actual question and have identified the information that I need, is I'm going to use the information that is given. I can also use the fact that multiplication is commutative, that area is multiplicative. So I'm asked, what is the perimeter of the gray rectangle? So perimeter of the gray rectangle is calculated by adding up the height and width of every side. So I'm going to use the information that I'm given to get started. That's my first step. The area of the pink rectangle is calculated by multiplying the height dimension by the width dimension. The height is 4 centimeters. The width is 10 centimeters. So that area is 40 square centimeters. So I can also I don't have to use multiplication. I can rewrite when it's time for me to find the information needed here in step 2. I can say, hey, multiplication, area is multiplicative, which means that I can multiply or divide. I know the area of my gray rectangle. I know the width of my gray rectangle. So the area of my gray rectangle divided by the width of that gray rectangle is going to be equal to the height of the gray rectangle. I can write the formula this way. Keep your equal signs lined up. And I'm going to plug in the area number where it goes. The area of the gray rectangle, since they have the same area, is 40 square centimeters divided by the width of the gray rectangle, because I have it in my diagram, is 8 centimeters. And so I'm going to keep my equal signs lined up. 40 divided by 5 is going to be 8 centimeters. So now I have the height of my gray rectangle, 8 centimeters plus 8 centimeters. And I already had the width of my gray rectangle, 5 centimeters plus 5 centimeters. 8, you can add them however you want. 8 plus 8 is 16. 16 plus 10 is going to be 26 centimeters. Okay, and that's all you have to do. You have a choice, but each time we're using the area in ZWF in this lesson, each time you'll be using the areas. You'll be using the relationship between the areas of the two rectangles to find a missing side length. And then once you have the missing side length, you'll be finding the perimeter of whichever rectangle you're asked about. When you make a mistake, you do not panic. If we make a mistake with our colored pencil or with a marker, with something in color, we write down what we're on, typo. Okay? So each problem requires you to do all 3 steps. You need to write and say the formula that you need. You need to write each number where it goes according to the formula.